So your narcissist has a new supply. Now, I hate saying supply because, it's kind of talking about people like they're objects, right? Um, so let's just say this. The person that you love decided um, they didn't love you and they went with someone else. Now, let's throw a little bit of oil in the jam here. This person was narcissistic. You fell in love with a representative, which didn't really exist. And they decided to discard you. And then they decided to go to someone else. And this person may or may not look like you. This person may or may not act like you. This person may or may not think like you. But you feel slighted because maybe this person is not what you had, right? Good or bad. And so you're just like, well, how do I get my revenge? You don't. And I'm going to tell you why, because it's the easiest way to still get your revenge is by doing nothing. Well, let me get this straight. Yes, you will do something, but it will be all you. First, I'm going to tell you why the narcissist left you and then went to someone else. It's a two-pronged thing. Narcissists are children, right? And children have a short attention span. So let's just say you've been with this person for so long or so short, and you have to understand that narcissists get bored easily. They bore easily with people who agree with them too much, and they get bored when people don't agree with them enough. So they're always looking for like this perfect storm of a person that's going to give them praise and validation and attention, but will take their crap, but not too much, right? They still want to have a quality person that's going to seem like a normal human being in public, because if they look normal, then the narcissist is normal, right? Typically, people who are narcissistic, they want to have I like to call them currency. They want to have good social currency on their arm or around them because, if this person looks good, then that means the narcissist looks good. If this person has a high-paying job, that means that the narcissist picked well, right? So they left you first because you probably start asking too many questions. And you probably start probing and started giving them more problems, which is normal in a relationship because it's called communication. You stopped accepting what they gave you at face value and you start asking for, oh shocker, intimacy, transparency, integrity, love, trust. Things that the narcissist can't give you because they won't even give that to themselves. Remember, these are devoid children. Right? They don't know how to do these things and they don't know how to give them, but they do know how to kind of like fake it till they make it until they get what they want, which is apparent. I know you've heard me say this before. So that's the first reason they left you. The second reason is they found someone more broken than you. I know that's going to shock you, right? I learned this the hard way multiple times. Every time I had a boyfriend or something like that, and I loved them or whatever, but then we hit a rocky patch. I didn't stay compliant for long. I started to kind of put my big girl pants on. And when you do this multiple times, you kind of see the whole song and dance because it never really changes. So when you start putting your big girl pants on, that's when they're like, wait, hold up. Because that's when you're going to start calling them on the carpet. That's when that shame and those trauma wounds start coming out. And then they eagerly look for someone else that they've previously groomed. Because remember, narcissistic people They don't hunt for their food. They're like hyenas. They eat the scraps of dead carrion elsewhere, right? And they kind of pull it up to like a shade tree and they leave it there. I guess some people say they put people on the shelf. I prefer to go and say that they just kind of eat their own vomit and they come back to it if that vomit's still there. And so they already have like a long roster of vomit, reheated food that they have planned because they don't like hunting for fresh, because fresh means rejection, right? And so the people that they usually pick are broken, insecure, sad, lonely people. These are people who are wounded too. Maybe they came from a bad relationship, or maybe, they didn't have a good childhood. Something is wrong with them, but they're still high functioning enough and still status symbol enough that the narcissist can control them, right? So if I had this happen to me, I had a person in my life who got me when I was weak and basically emotionally meshed with me and then left me for someone else, even though I didn't pursue this person. Like, they pursued me very hard and heavy. I think they call that love bombing, but it's not really a love bombing thing, right? They don't kind of blow you out of the water. They just kind of test your boundaries and see what you like, what you don't like, right? It's grooming, because remember this as well. The narcissistic people, like I said, they have vomit. They have a roster of vomit that they've already groomed, and they can just go back and re-eat when they're ready, right? And so I realized that the person who did this to me, he went back to old vomit, because said old vomit broke up with someone else. And then she was in an emotional tailspin. They both enmeshed with each other, and now like they're serious. So those are the two prongs of why your narcissist left you. It's because you basically start asking more questions, and they were bored because you weren't easy. I guess that could be like one thing, but that's what happened. So let me tell you how to get your revenge on this. You ready? Of course you are. You get your revenge by leveling up yourself. The kids these days call it glowing up, but I call it improving yourself. Here's the thing, is that typically when narcissists hit people, when they have their roster of vomit, the vomit doesn't improve themselves. These people are still broken people. They just kind of shuffle themselves around to the next relationship, or whatever. But they don't ever really improve themselves. They just don't. But if you become that vomit where you start seeing your self-worth, where you start seeing that you aren't the problem, you are just in a weak moment, and you start to change yourself, you start to glow up. You start to lose the weight that you wanted to lose, or gain the weight that you wanted to gain. You start financially getting your stuff together. You start getting your life together, right? You start to become a bigger, better, more powerful person. And you just don't give this person any play. You don't give this narcissist any play. You just keep doing you, healthily, happily, and watch. This is where you can choose to kind of take the high road or the low road, because narcissistic people look at people as status. They need to have status. And it's an insult to them, and it's a huge blow to their ego that when they left your life, you got better. You improved. And people around them will see it. They had no hand in your evolution to greatness. And while they were basically bumping uglies and shacking up with Amy Jo in the corner, you basically became Wonder Woman or Superman. And so the narcissist is going to have that moment of shattering in their ego, because you weren't supposed to get better. Only the narcissist gets better. Remember, these are children, remember? You weren't supposed to go to another sandbox. You weren't supposed to get a bike while I have a ball. You were supposed to stay in my sandbox, and you were supposed to just deal with it until I decided to pick you up again and play with you, right? If you're a good person, you will probably be healthy enough to tell them to kick rocks. But if you're like me, you want to be petty. So you basically just start manipulating the narcissist. And they'll see it coming. They'll know. And they'll try to plant they'll see it coming. They know you're manipulating them. But they think that, sooner or later, the nice person was going to come back. They think that that weak part of you is going to come back. And then that's when they'll go ahead and get the revenge part on the weak part of you. But if you don't have any weak parts, if you know for a fact that this person is just an idiot and that idiot's always played by the same game book, then you will basically just milk them for what they have. Because they'll give it to you. They'll give it to you. Because they don't want people talking about them. And they don't want people talking positively about you. If they had no hand in your glory, then that makes them look like what they are, which are simps. Look that up on the internet. And then you just kind of do your thing. Now, the only way I would recommend you being petty with a narcissist is that you are rock solid. Like you have no emotional investments with this person anymore. Like every part of you, even the soft part of you that still loves this person, can see them with wide open eyes. And then you just make them pay for it, either financially, emotionally, physically, and you discard them. Now, this is going to start a cycle of badness if you want to do that. But the thing about getting a revenge on a narcissist and making them pay is that you become the monster they were to you. And some people don't want to be a monster, but I'm a human being. And sometimes I do want to be a monster, especially when I was honest, trustworthy, and I had integrity and kindness. It will make me feel better, but I don't really play with my food for long before I throw it away. So take it as you will.